Nice to be here. Thanks. But we still have some technical issues. It's Apple. It's kind of supposed to be like that, I suppose. Does anybody know Oceanhorn? A few. No? Did anybody play it? Okay. On mobile? On Steam? On consoles? Mobile. Okay, so like the dream of every developer I know is going to consoles someday. And there's some challenges involved in this, because actually everything on console is different compared to mobile. You can just take anything on mobile and you can be sure that 95% of it is different on consoles. And so how's it looking? 3, 4, 5. Okay. So actually I wanted to start with a video so you know what Oceanhorn is about. But I'll just start explaining what the game is. It's a action adventure. Yay! Well, can I have? Yay! Applause. Sorry. Can I have? Sorry, Mr. Crew. Can I have the presenter's notes as well? That would be awesome. Because actually my talk was like 50 minutes, and I noticed, okay, it's too long. Just have 25 minutes, so I had to cut off lots of things. But I'll start with the video right away, so we all know what Oceanhorn is about. So, okay, it's supposed to be more fluid. I don't know what the issue is. This is the console version of Oceanhorn that was released in the beginning of September. It's an action adventure inspired by Zelda, but also by other very well-known 16-bit era action adventures like Seiken Densetsu, Final Fantasy Legends, Adventures, whatever. And it has about 10 to 15 hours of gameplay, like all the fancy mechanics you know from these games, but also taking in new stuff like RPG elements. And one of the most exciting things for us is that Nobuo Uematsu and Kenji Ito made music for this game. It was the first time that Uematsu, that everybody should know from Final Fantasy, made music for a non-Japanese game. So that was quite an honor. And so I'm kind of lost now. So this is the Marriott, obviously. Sir?
How was the presentation?
Here?
Okay, now.
Oh yeah, okay. That'll do it.
Okay.
But it's not on the screen. Ah, perfect. Okay, I don't have my notes. Forgive me if I stumble from time to time. Where do I have to press? I think this was the wrong button. No, I suppose, okay. Ah, that's the button. So, yeah, this is the mobile version of Oceanhorn. It was, I think it's iPhone 6 screenshot. This is basically the current version of the game. This is, no, sorry. It was the one before was the iPhone 4S screenshot, like how it was in the beginning. This is the iPhone 6. So you can also already see that the graphics have improved a lot. And this is what the game looks nowadays on consoles and on Steam as well. And so we'll dive into the steps that took us there. So the game started on iOS, obviously, about 3 years ago. And got a lot of updates and a lot of love, and everybody was super hyped about the game. During QA and testing, play testing, we often hooked up the game to the TV and had the feeling that somehow it was not only intended to be played on mobile, but also on other platforms. And this was basically it. So the first thing you have to do when you go to mobile, from mobile to consoles, which is always a tricky path actually, is hook up your game to a big TV. Analyze it, look at it carefully, and analyze it like without all the stuff you experience, and just try to analyze it the way a new user would see the game, and you will notice lots of flaws. Like obviously for mobile games, the controls are totally different on console. We had controller support from day one in Oceanhorn and felt super good. But they were still not how you would do a console game. Oh yeah. So what we identified are like 3 problems that should be worked on. So the first thing is the most obvious, it's the graphic improvements. So again, this is the very start of the game, like the moment where you get control of the character on iOS, right now, current version. And this is how it looks on consoles, on PlayStation and Xbox One. So the difference is very obvious already. The camera is further away because you have a bigger screen, you have more details to show, and you need to take advantage of everything you can on consoles. Always take advantage of whatever you can on every platform. So diving deeper into it, let's look at details. This is just a random area from the screenshot before on iOS. And here's the same, well, the right is the same, is there a pointer? Whee! Nice, so you can already see that there are lots of other details here. Same for another part. So consoles versus iOS, you have like these little mushrooms here and all like small fancy little details. Also the textures are much more crisp and high resolution. And so graphic is like the first thing that will pop at people's eye as soon as they see a screenshot, a video, a friend playing it. It's the first thing that jumps at people's eye. And it's like the business card of your game in that moment. So you have to take care that you make everything possible to make it look as good as possible as well. This is Tikarel. It's the village island. For those who don't know, like Oceanhorn is set up in a continent of water with lots of islands to explore. And there's one island that has a village on it. This one was very tricky on iOS. We often had frame rate issues because there's like a shitload of elements, of objects, of NPCs, of stuff there. And while tweaking there was Hell and Cornfox who did the game, did an amazing job to optimize everything. But this is how it looked like on, it's so hard to see the aspect ratios and I don't have my notes. I think it's iPhone 4, is it? And this is how it looks on consoles. So you see the improvement. Like a lot of things have changed. All in all, there are more than 400 objects in the game. There are dozens of NPCs, of monsters, of bosses, of visual elements, and everything had to be touched. The models have been turned from low poly models into high poly models. The textures were upscaled. New lighting effects were introduced. The water was changed. Literally everything in the visual part was worked. And also planar reflections and occlusion culling, ambient occlusion, sorry. A lot of things have been added. Also when you do this kind of work, especially moving the camera farther away, you will have lots of problems. We had many problems with occlusion culling. Like all of a sudden, objects that should not be visible were visible, or vice versa. And lots of tweaks were needed. The second thing is control improvements. So obviously, on a touchscreen device, you have touch controls. They clutter the screen, and you cannot use all the buttons that you want to use. So we had one big action button. The one on the bottom right. Above that was an item button that was for items, for spells, and all the stuff. And that's basically it. So on consoles, we have about 8 or 10 buttons we can use. Again, take advantage of it. We separated the context-sensitive action button and divided it into an attack button, and also it's still context sensitive, but also added a button for magic and a dedicated button for items, just to take away the hassle of going to the menus every now and then and going back and forth. And there's a dedicated button for shield as well. And a button, and this comes to the next point, for dashing, because there was no dash in the game before. And especially in such games where you have like backtracking and go back to the same place over and over again and run back and forth, dashing is very comfortable. If you can walk faster, it just eases everything up, which basically comes down to gameplay improvements. So what Cornfox did when they were finished with the iOS version after releasing the Game of the Year edition with new content and fishing and stuff, all the reviews, all the YouTubers, all the Let's Plays, everything was analyzed and taken really good care of, and problems were identified, like in puzzles, where people get stuck, things that are unclear. And this was very, very important for going to the other platforms. Yeah, and also new items have been added. For example, an auto-revive potion. When you run out of health, it automatically revives you. A mana refill potion. And also, like at the bottom, the ancient Arcadian radar, which reveals locations of collectibles. Well, especially on consoles, people are achievement hunters, collectible hunters, so you have to treat them as well, and they'll be happy for that. So then, after the Steam release, it was about time to do the next step. By then, Cornfox was already working on a new project, but the discussion came up to bring the game to console because it was on Steam already, it did well there, and we all felt, okay, it's time to do the next step. Since they couldn't do it because they were working on something new, and they didn't have experience on console development, and well, we have no internal development team, we had to find a team that does that. And here's like one important advice to everybody. Before you start working with a third party, talk to other people about their experience. This is what we always do before we start working with any ad services or with publishers in certain regions. And it often turns out that they're not as good as they pretend to be. So which engine software was recommended to us? I can recommend them below. Everybody. They're great guys from the Netherlands, and they really know what they do. They have lots of console experience, which was very, very helpful because, as already mentioned, console is a totally different business, technically, and so on. But we come to that now because the console ecosystem is really a whole new world for us. So basically, it can be divided in three main differences. It's the development, it's the platform, and it's the marketing. So first of all, let's look into the development. Well, on iOS, on Google Play, on mobile, wherever, everybody has a phone, everybody can get Unity for free, and you can just start developing. There's not a big hassle coming along with it. Well, let's put aside the hundreds of devices you need for testing. But other than that, there's no big wall. Oh, I just have 5 minutes? Is that real? Oh, really? Oh, okay, I'll have to speed up. So, you'll have to pitch your game to the platform holders. Only then you're allowed on the platform. You will need dev kits. You will need lots of documentation to go through. And just for us, on the dashboard side, it took us like a month to understand all the systems that are there. From the technical point of view, of course, everything's different. If you use a proprietary engine, then you have to rework everything probably. And let's go to the next one, the platform. All three platforms are totally different. Everybody has totally different approaches. It goes so far that also different regions have different approaches how to handle things. And not to mention all the technical differences. Just because Xbox and PlayStation are x86 architecture doesn't mean that it's compatible. So you have to rework everything there as well. And in marketing, actually this is one of the, it always skips one. This is one of the best thing and the coolest difference between mobile and consoles, because people actually do care about games. And you have very good support from the platform holders as well that take you to conferences. And this, for example, was just 2 weeks ago for a new game, Monster Boy. At Paris Games Week, they showed it at the booth. They also presented Oceanhorn. And you get a chance to present your game on stage in front of a shitload of persons that will know your game. And this is really nice. You can show your game in front of people, they play it, you can watch them, you can get feedback, you see their smile on the face and everything. It's very rewarding. This is another thing with the community. The community is very, very important on consoles. So we did we asked if people want to see Oceanhorn on Vita, and the response was tremendous. Like 75% or 76% out of 4,500 voters said yes, and 16% even wanted a physical release, which is awesome. And these are things that you can work very good with community. And when we then showed the screenshot of Oceanhorn running on a Vita, it got a huge response. And this post was even picked up by media, by GameSpot and others. And yeah, it spreads the word automatically. I'll skip this one. So the launch has come, and to finally see this is the store page. It's like the biggest reward ever. It's so cool. It's totally different on mobile. It's still a web page, but it feels different. Metacritics. You love it as well, Alex, huh? Yeah, well, fuck Metacritic, exactly. Give a shit about it. You see like 66, a score of 66 from review sites, an 8.2 user rating. That's what we're working for. We're not working for those fuckers that say, hey, it's a Blood and Zelda ripoff and fuck you. No, we're doing it for the users, and the users love the game. So don't let yourself get irritated from too much press. But this is a review from print media, and print media is totally different, and they're nice, friendly, and more objective than others. Right, Alex? Oh yeah, PR agencies. Oh fuck. We thought it's a good idea to work with PR agencies, and actually it turned out not to be. This was the launch PR that we did not approve. We asked for approval, but they didn't give it to us. And just in the first header, they made like 3 arrows. It's not a platformer, it's an action adventure. We told them like 1,000,000 times. The worst thing is the second square, which is a wrong link that took press to this 3DS game, which is totally not Oceanhorn. It's a lot of things, but it's not Oceanhorn. And the third link, the second link, it was not even clickable. So what the fuck? So my advice, if you work with PR agencies, write your PR on your own and design it on your own and tell them, send out this and nothing else. Yeah. So and if you want to go abroad to Japan, Korea, China, whatever, you'll need to have local partners. Go there, talk to them, and again, ask other people, other developers. 0 minutes, I'm speeding up. Ask them about what experience they had, and also take into account that test case and everything is different there. You'll have to work on the game again, and you'll have to do the math if it's really worth it. For Oceanhorn, it turned out not to be worth it, so we did not go there, unfortunately. We would love to, but, well, on the future, well, PS Vita, Android, I would have loved to launch it here today with you guys. Unfortunately, we're still not finished. And Nintendo Switch, one of the coolest platforms. I really love the thing. Let's keep an eye on this one. And we'll see what's next. And Cornfox is working on Oceanhorn 2, Knights of the Lost Realm. Still takes some time. And anyways, I want to say thank you to these guys, these Cornfox and brothers. Amazing job. Engine Software, who did the port, and my team at home. Thank you, everybody, and thanks to you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for an amazing talk, for your crisis management and time management skills especially. And I think we have a time for just one question. Hi.
So
Hi.
basically, you mentioned that you have to improve the graphics and controls and all this stuff, and also got some support and handle different publishers for those platforms in different regions. So basically, all those amendments for your mobile product, how long did it take? I mean, did it meet your expectations, or basically
You
had?
mean how long it took to make to turn the mobile version into an improved version?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that
It's about 9
that
months.
you
It was 9
used
months.
Unity, and it's a good cross-platform engine, but still you had to, tune your
The game
UI
was not
controls.
Unity. The game
No?
it's a
Oh.
proprietary engine. So,
Oh, my bad.
but most of work was on the art side.
Uh-huh.
Like all the textures had to be upscaled, the models had to be improved, new lighting effects and all the stuff. And this takes time, especially if you have. Well, upscaling is always harder than downscaling. We hadn't consoles in mind from the beginning, or PC. It was iOS and mobile from scratch. So everything was produced at low resolution.
Did
So-
you? Sorry.
Sorry, so an advice nowadays, if you work, do everything in 4K or do it in 8K. So it's the best thing you can do because downscaling goes a lot better and faster than upscaling.
Did you guys pass the certification stages for PS and Xbox from the first attempt?
Of course not. Of course not. I think anybody.
How many
who does,
did it take?
I think on Xbox with the optional ones it was about 6, and on PS4 it was about 2 to 4 or something like that. But we had a very nasty save game issue that we could not reproduce. That luckily Microsoft found. So it's good that there's a certification. We almost missed our launch window because of this issue, but we were very, very, very happy that Microsoft found it.
But basically, when you have to redo a certification stage, and you get your feedback from the platform in a week after your submission, and then you have to go through it and then fix your game build. It takes some time. So basically, you released how long after what you planned? I mean, like.
Well, it takes 2 to 3 weeks after certification pass for the game to be able to go on the platform, which doesn't mean that it should launch 2 or 3 weeks after certification. I would recommend go into certification, do it, and then allow like 2 months or maybe even 3 months if you can afford it to do proper PR, marketing, and set up everything for the launch.
Thank you.
Of course, it's like 2 or 3 months. It's a long time and money. But thanks a lot.
Thank you one more time. Thank you for several questions.